Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel and to my second video in the Project 5 Wear series that I'm doing on my channel in 2019. In case you are interested what the Project 5 Wear series is, I'm going to link my introductory video up in the cards here for you so you can check it out. I'm not going to repeat myself every time I do one of these videos, that's why I'm going to link the introductory video every time for you up in the cards. And I also have a playlist where you can find all the different videos that I've done throughout the year, maybe even longer than 1 year for this series. But in a nutshell, I'm just doing 5 different looks with each of the palettes that you're going to see. And I'm not doing them in the setting of tutorial, this video is much more descriptive. If, however, anyone is interested in a tutorial for any of the looks that they're going to see in any of the videos, then please let me know in the comment section below and I would be glad to consider it. I'm clearly not wearing the Tribe palette today because the Tribe palette is basically greens and oranges, and the thing is, I am so dumb, I forgot to film my intro and my outro when I was actually wearing the palette, and now it's, you know, out of convenience, I just have to do it on a day that I have time. I hope you enjoyed the 5 looks that I created for you with the Tribe palette, and I'm just going to leave you to it now. I've already been wearing this makeup for a couple of hours, but I don't think it even shows signs of wear. What I basically wanted to do today is mostly focus on the orange tones to put them on my lid, and I last minute decided that I'm actually going to use one of the eyeshadows in the palette as my eyeliner. So let me start from the beginning. So I have the matte orange eyeshadow through my crease, then I deepened my crease with this khaki green brownish sort of color, and then I put this shade here, the metallic orange, all over my lid. I put this one in the inner corner, and on my lower lash line I have this shade mixed in a little bit with this shade, and I use this shade mixed with Inglode's Duraline as my liner. That is honestly my favorite part about this look. I think for the most part this look is not super groundbreaking. I still really like it. I absolutely love wearing oranges and greens together. I think they make such a great combo, but I think what really ties this look together is using this dark pine green shade here as my liner. And I have to say, of course, I've been a proponent of Duraline for a very long time on my channel. I even have like a second bottle that I'm going through because I finished one already. Not all shades are created equally when it comes to mixing them with Duraline, but I think this one turned absolutely beautifully. It was really opaque already on the first application. I had absolutely no issues with it, like looking weird or not being too pigmented, or I don't know, it just looks stunning. I absolutely love it. On my lips I chose for something super simple because I just put on the Flesh Tree lip balm from Pat McGrath. This is my favorite lip balm that I have ever had. It's a beautiful like terracotta orangey red kind of shade. I really like it. It's a lip balm, but it has a lot of pigmentation to it. It's really comfortable, especially now during the winter. So all in all, I think I really like how this look turned out, but I have to say my favorite thing about it is how the green eyeliner turned out. Alright, so let me tell you what I did. I hesitated a little bit whether I wanted to start with one of these shades as my transition shade, but for some reason I really felt like using this shade here, which is the weird like brownie mustard green type of shade. So I started off with this shade and I applied it with a fluffy brush in my crease and above my crease, and I have to say I really enjoy how mustardy it pulled on my eye when I blended it out. I think if you pack it a little bit more, maybe you're going to get a little bit more of like the deeper olive green tones, but when you blend it out I really think you get a bit more of like a light wash of mustard, which I really liked. After that I went in with a denser brush and I basically packed this shade over like 2/3 of my lid and into my crease, and then I took the fluffy brush on which I had the mustardy shade and I kind of just started blending until the two shades were like nicely blended together, and I had like a nice smoky situation going on the outer part of my eye. After that I applied a little bit of glitter glue and I went in with this shade, the beautiful metallic version of this shade, basically because the way I see them they are almost identical. The only difference is that this one has a beautiful metallic fold finish to it, so I applied that one more like in the center and a little bit towards the outer part of the lid, but I didn't want to lose too much of the matte green shade because that is so beautiful. And after I was done with that, I wanted to go in with this shade, but I wanted it to have stronger green tones. So let me just show you. If I use this shade on its own, so used on its own, this shade has really beautiful like light lime green gold shift to it, and I wanted it to be a little bit more green, so I started experimenting applying it over different shades in the palette, and I decided to go in the end for this shade, which is like the more light green shade, and then I packed this one over top. Basically, what you get when you layer the two shades together is that you give the matte shade a metallic finish, and you give the metallic shade a little bit more of deeper light green tones to it, and it just intensifies the green undertone in the duochrome shade. So I applied that shade more towards the inner part of my lid, and in the very outer inner corner, excuse me, I applied the duochrome shade without the green underneath it, so just this shade, and I really like how it turned out. The lower lash line is super simple. It's just this shade blended out a little bit with this one, and then this one in my waterline. And then just for funs and giggles, I applied a little bit of my NYX Vivid Brights liner in the shade Vivid Escape, and I put a few dots right here in the inner part of my eye. And I don't even think you can see those if I stand too far away from the camera, but I really enjoy how subtle it is. That is all I did for my eye look. I paired it with a lipstick which also leans a little bit more mustard orange terracotta, and that is the shade Epigram from Urban Decay. Unfortunately, that was a limited edition lipstick in the Basquiat collection. I absolutely love this lipstick. It is one of my favorite lipsticks from Urban Decay. Overall, I really like how this look turned out. Obviously, as someone who enjoys green, a green smoky eye is always going to be something that makes my heart sing, but I feel like this is one of the best green smoky eyes that I've ever done, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I hope you enjoyed it too. I'd wanted to try this look pretty much since I opened the palette for the first time, but I really wanted to go through all of the more like green based looks before I did this one. It's a super simple look, you guys. Basically, I went in with this shade here, the olivey browny green type of shade, and I used a fluffy brush, in this case the MAC 217, and I basically applied this shade all over my lid, and then I blended it up towards the crease. I even took it under my lower lash line. Honestly, if you were the kind of person that likes to wear like a one and done look, I think this shade looks awesome for like a one and done look, because it's such an interesting shade. It has such unique undertones to it. I did pack a little bit more of it, of course, in the outer corner, just so it's a little bit more intense there, but I didn't want it to be too intense. I just wanted it to be like a more like a light wash of color with a little bit more intensity in the outer corner. After that, I applied a glitter glue, and then I applied this beautiful bronzy goldy greenish duochrome type of shade all over my lid. After that, I applied this matte green shade in my inner corners, and it's a matte shade, you guys, and I really liked how it looked like on its own, but I know shades with a formula like this, they don't stay in your inner corners for too long unless you apply them over either a white base or you apply some sort of a metallic shade over top. So since I didn't apply a white base, I didn't really feel like looking for something to apply as a base. I did pack this on in my inner corners, and then I spritzed my brush with Fix Plus, and I went in with this beautiful duochrome shade over here, which is like the obvious inner corner highlight. I just wanted to give it a little bit more of those lime green tones. And then on my lower lash line, super simple, I just went in with this green shade, I applied it in my waterline and a little bit smudged on the lower lash line. And that's pretty much all. It's a super simple, but I think a super beautiful look, because it's like a very bronzy, green, grungy, olive type of look. I don't know, I really dig it. I kind of wanted to stick with like the bronzy theme for today, so I dug out my Urban Decay lipstick in the shade Scorched. It was oh, I want to say this was one of their Naked Heat lipsticks. I feel like that's one of the shades that was in the Naked Heat collection. It's like a beautiful bronzy shade with a bit of a golden sheen to it, and I felt like it really paired well with this look. So this is not exactly the look that I had in mind. This look was a little bit of a series of unfortunate events, I have to say, but in the end I think it turned out not too bad and I am not too unhappy with it. But let me tell you, this look was not supposed to look anything like this. I had a totally different idea of this when I was standing under the shower and I was planning how this look is going to turn out. Yes, I make a lot of life-changing decisions when I'm under the shower. It's a place for meditation. In my mind, I was bouncing around a couple of ideas of what I wanted to do with this look, and the final idea that I settled on is not what I executed in the end, because when I came out of the shower, the baby was sitting next to me while I was doing my makeup and he was all babbling and being cute and requesting attention, and I got totally sidetracked and completely forgot what I was going to do, or at least like half of the things that I was going to do, so in the end the look turned out nothing like what I had planned. But let me just tell you what I did to achieve this look, because I think in the end of the day it didn't turn out too bad. Alright, so I started off the look with this shade here, the lime green shade. I put that through my crease and a bit above. Then I went in with this mid-tone matte green shade and I put that in the outer corner and blended a bit more into my deeper crease. Then I attempted to do a cut crease, and I say attempted in a very like loose and broad sense. I'm an absolute disaster with cut creases and I still don't think that this turned out very cut creasy, but you know, it was an attempt. I would call it an attempt at a cut crease. I used the Kiko long lasting eyeshadow stick in the shade 28. This is like a sort of like a skin color with a bit of like gold shimmer to it. You can't really see the gold shimmer unless you try really hard and you stand in a certain light. So I think this is great if you want to like use something that's more like a concealer to do cut creases. I got this idea from Meg, by the way. So I used this to cut my crease. I actually used a little bit more of like a precise brush to do this cut creasy type of line here. And then I went in with the light duochrome shade, so this champagne goldeny green type of shade, and I applied that all over the concealer type of shadow stick. Then I wanted to do an orange liner, and I think this is where I was most unhappy with how this turned out, because I used Duraline to foil this shade over here, the matte orange. Perhaps in hindsight I should have just gone for the darker orange, but I wanted to try the matte shade first because I don't always like to foil metallic shades. Anyway, I applied this as a liner and I thought it was a little too light and I wasn't really quite happy with how it was turning out. So in the end I regretted not just going in straight into my Inglot 63 gel liner, which is basically a beautiful deep orange pumpkin color. So what I did in the end is that I did apply some of this over top of the orange that I had foiled with Duraline. So unfortunately I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it, but the liner has quite a bit of texture to it and you can't really see it from afar, so it doesn't really bother me too much, but when I was doing it I could really feel all that product being gooped on my lid and like piling up, and I was not happy with it. I mean, in the end it turned out okay, but I think I should have just gone for the gel liner instead of trying to foil one of the eyeshadows. That's also what I meant when I told you before that not all shades are created equally when it comes to foiling them with Duraline. Sometimes you get the shade that you want and sometimes you get a slightly different hue than what you expected. And I think it's not the fault of the palette by any means. I mean, it's just a lighter sort of orange and I should have just anticipated that a lighter orange will just not do, and in order to have more depth I need a deeper orange. So like I said, maybe if I had gone for this shade it would have turned out a little bit more like I had planned it in my mind, but unfortunately I went for this one and then I had to sort of fix my mistake. On my lips I also went for something super simple because I wanted to keep it like lightweight and not distract the attention of the eyes with a bolder lip, and I just wanted to keep it very light today. So I just applied the Fenty Beauty lip gloss in the shade Fenty Beauty, so that was the universal gloss, and I called it a day. Like I said, I think it turned out nice, maybe not exactly what I had in mind, but you know, sometimes that happens with makeup. You make one wrong move and then everything snowballs from there. Alright you guys, so let's quickly finish off this Project 5 Wears video with the last look that I have done for you with the Tribe palette. It is also a very simple smoky, like green, orangey, bronzy duochrome type of look. Super easy, but I think it turned out really beautiful. So I used this mid-tone green shade here as my transition shade, so I just applied a bunch of it in my crease and a bit above the crease. Then I went in with the matte petrol green, forest pine green type of shade, and I applied that in the outer part of my lid, but I actually applied quite a bit of it towards the middle of the lid. So I dragged it all the way inside, and then I even dragged it along my lower lash line to give my, not lower lash line, but like the base of my lashes, to give my lashes a little bit more of depth and definition, because I wasn't going to wing a liner. And then I applied a glitter glue and I went in with this shade, and then I realized that if I want to marry this shade, and so the matte green shade and the sparkly duochrome shade a little bit better, I'm going to have to dip into the metallic shade over here. So I just applied a tiny bit of that towards like the center and outer part of the lid, just so I can marry the two textures of these eyeshadows a little bit better, because this eyeshadow is super foiled and this eyeshadow is obviously like a very matte shade, so if you apply them over top of each other sometimes it can look a little bit strange. So it really helps if you apply a shade like this, like another metallic shade in a similar color, to help the two colors to blend a little bit better. Then in my inner corner I have the usual, this champagne goldish green duochrome shade. On my lower lash line I have again a combination of this shade and this shade, and to finish it off I actually applied a little bit of glitter. I applied the Heavy Metal glitter liner in the shade Distortion from Urban Decay, which is one of my favorite heavy metal liners from them, and I just, you know, I like applying this as a little detail here on the inner part of my lower lash line. Another detail that I wanted to throw in, just in case you were curious, and I just wanted to give you a few thoughts because I don't think I'm going to do a review of this product. I'm wearing the Pat McGrath Fetish Eyes Mascara. So this is the newest release from Pat McGrath. It's also her first mascara that she's ever released. Just so I show you the wand a little bit, because the wand is one of the most important things about the mascara. I do really like the wand. It's like straight, but it has a lot of bristles to it, and it separates the lashes really well. It coats product really well, and I like the mascara. It's a solid, good mascara. It's black. It immediately coats your lashes. It doesn't clump them together. The formula is not too dry and it's not too wet. But I'm gonna say this, it is not better than my Kiko Extra Sculpt mascara, which is significantly cheaper. So I do like the mascara. It's a solid mascara and I think it's going to work for a lot of people. But what I find personally for me is that it doesn't give me a lot of length. It gives me a lot of volume, but I don't find that it gives me a lot of length. One thing I will say though, with a lot of mascaras, I don't like to make up my final opinion before I've let it like age for a while, because unfortunately it seems like a lot of mascaras tend to perform better once they've been opened for like at least half a month. So just a few side thoughts on the Pat McGrath Fetish Eyes Mascara. On my lips I also have a Pat McGrath product. This is the Lust Gloss in the shade Flash 006. It's a beautiful color. I really like the gloss formula of Pat McGrath. It's super smooth, super opaque, super comfortable. It's not sticky. I love the formula of this gloss, and I think it's also a beautiful color. Alright guys, let's throw a couple of quick thoughts about the Tribe palette from Juvia's Place. At this point I am quite confident in saying that this palette and the Saharan 2 basically occupy the same spot in my heart. I don't like one more than the other. I absolutely love both of them for different reasons. The Saharan palette, the Saharan 2 palette, holds a very dear place in my heart for other reasons, but the Tribe palette is special to me because this color story just speaks to me on so many levels. I love the combination of orange and green together. I love these sort of like deeper pine green sort of shades. There's just everything about this palette is sheer perfection, from the cohesiveness of the color story to the performance of the eyeshadows to the way they work together. I don't want to talk about each of the shadows individually because, like I said, I feel like they all perform very well. I didn't have issues with any of the mattes or the shimmers. I want to particularly mention one of the mattes though, because it is so absolutely stunning, and that is this pine green shade here. It is just so beautiful. It performs so well, it blends out so nicely, and it looks bomb as an eyeliner. So if you have this palette, absolutely try this shade as an eyeliner. The other shade, well, two shades that I want to give a special mention to are these two shades over here. This bronzy goldish green duochrome shade, which just it glows when you put it on your eyes. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love every single look that I've ever created with this eyeshadow, and the same goes for this green over here. And the thing I wanted to mention about this green in particular is I'm often I'm often drawn to these types of shades, but I'm often disappointed in them at the same time, because a lot of these types of like dark forest green shade are created over a black base. So sometimes when you put them on your eyes, the black is so intense that the green looks more like a shimmer rather than a true deep forest green. That is not the case with this shade. When you put this shade on your eyelids, it's a true green. It's a true deep pine green shade. It's basically this shade, but in a foiled shimmer form. And I absolutely love it for that, because it's not a blackened green, it's a green, delicious forest deep green. I love it. With that, I want to conclude this video. I hope that you enjoyed the 5 looks that I created and you got some inspiration out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!